On this episode of Medium at Heart, a stroll down memory lane through Ireland. And Annette talks more about her special gift and a guest who's seeing Annette face to face for the first time on this podcast. How exciting!
So excited. I mean, I've read for him for so long.
Yes. So our special guest, his name is Hamilton, and you've been reading for him for many years, but only over the phone.
Over the phone.
And today you're going to see him face to face for the first time.
Super excited. Super
What
excited.
a special episode. We're so delighted that you're with us. And take a moment to follow us on Spotify, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then you'll know when each of our podcasts is launched. And we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Oh, yes.
here
Thank
at
you
Medium
so
at Heart.
much. And for
Right?
sharing stories with me. I'm getting so many messages.
Yes. We're hearing from so many of you, and we appreciate the feedback and your thoughts and your stories. You can always reach us at mediumatheart@gmail.com. But first, you know my sister and I love sweets, and we love food. Food is a love language for us, especially or in addition to connecting to our loved ones on the other side who've crossed, because some of the memories that we have of our loved ones are around food, sharing a meal at a special table, being at a certain place at a certain time, a certain snack, a certain taste or flavor that brings back those memories. So today we have Annette. Tell us what you brought today.
Okay, so I have Mom's tea set. I only
Yeah.
brought 2 mugs though, with the shamrocks on it. Remember this in the house in Irvington and West Orange?
Yes, it's very special.
Because we always had tea time when we would go to Ireland, right? And we always had snacks. And these are my favorite. This is coming home with me. These flake and crunch bars that you ordered are the crunchy.
Those are your favorite. And you dunk them in the tea.
Yes.
So we would have this tea time with our mother and the flake bars. And when Annette and I were kids, so Annette first, I guess you first kind of recognized your gift when we lived in Irvington, New Jersey. And you started to see in the house people who've crossed over, not anyone that you recognized, but just souls that you were kind of encountering.
Yes. And I knew they were relatives, even though I didn't know them in life, because I just felt that love. That's the only way I can explain it. Like, I just knew that they were, all peace and all love. And, when I was young, I really didn't have, you don't have much fear until you get older, and then you realize what is going on.
Well, there's no context for
Yes.
what you experienced as a kid. And one of the things that my mother did, and my mother had this gift that we think, that
Oh,
you
yeah.
got that from mom.
Sure.
And so she took us to Ireland. She was Irish. She came to this country at a young age and made a life for herself here.
Yes.
And so she took us to Ireland, and Ireland is such a mystical and magical place. They have the fairy trees, and they have amazing folklore and just the most incredible storytellers. And we were little, and we went to our grandmother's adorable and precious, and it was like going back in time, a stone cottage.
Yeah, on the farm.
And there was a farm.
Yes.
But we would walk down to the sweet shop on a regular basis.
Okay, yes. We would walk. Remember, with our cousins, we would walk. We would get some money. What were they? Pence then, right?
Yes.
The change.
Yes.
We would walk. It was a mile to the sweet shop. At least it felt like that. And I remember the roads were so narrow that we would sort of jump like to the side in somebody else's farm, and there would be cows, and I would be scared to death.
Yeah, but not
because-
scared enough to not get the
No,
chocolate.
oh no, I got the chocolate and I got the sweets. Always came home with the bag.
We somehow braved this.
Yes, how terrible it was.
Unique and unusual terrain for us, being from
But
New Jersey.
but I remember feeling a lot of loved ones from the other side when we would, all get together, because there were so many of us. So there were so many energies in the room. But again, kept it to myself. And each time we went back, I would feel it more and more. And then at times, obviously, as I got older, I shared it with Mom. And she'd feel it too. So we would sort of share stories.
What a gift. What a very
nice,
special gift. You connected so many people to loved ones, and you've helped a lot of people. And one of those people joins us
Yes.
today. Hamilton is here. So we'll put on our headset. Hamilton, welcome to the Medium at Heart podcast.
Hi,
Great to see you.
Hamilton. Nice
Hi
to
to-
meet you in person after all
You
these
too.
years.
It's crazy. It's very surreal because I feel like I know you so well, but we've never actually seen each other and been talking to each other face to face. So good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
That is so special.
I know. I feel like his family is our family. Like, that's how the connection that I have with him and his wife and children. Like, just such a strong connection.
So tell us about meeting Annette Hamilton and what that first meeting was like.
Oh my gosh, I have so many stories.
Oh, I
So
can't
I've
wait.
always been super curious. Here's the weird part about me. I was born a Gemini, but I was supposed to be a Cancer. So I was born 3 weeks early. So I feel like I'm always in this internal struggle of wanting to be very intuitive and creative, but where the way I was born, it doesn't allow me to do that. But I think it's in there. And so I've always been super curious. I had a lady that worked for me named Lori Breutman, who Annette knows very well, who started talking to me about Annette. And I didn't have anything going on. I'm like, hell, I want to talk to her. So I reached out. And what's really crazy about this is I'm married to this incredible lady that Annette knows really well. And my wife is the opposite of me. She is super intuitive. So when I was talking to Annette the first time, and if anybody ever talks to her, I take a piece of paper and I just start writing everything that she says. And everything I was writing down had to do with my wife. And Annette
I
remembers I was so pissed off.
Yes.
I told my wife, I said, go on the other side of the house and shutting the door. And Annette's like, that's not how it works, Hamilton. So that's my first jump in with her.
So you it was curiosity that drove you to talk to Annette. And then so that first conversation, what did you get out of it, Hamilton, that made you want to continue the conversations?
Well, I think what's really important to note is, and Annette knows this about me, and I don't know whether it's good or bad, but I have a very special brain. It has always been going. I'm also a recovered alcoholic and addict. Actually, when I met Annette, I was not sober, ended up getting sober. And if you know anybody about addicts and alcoholics, our brains are always moving. And so when I was a little kid, and I remember where I was, I remember what it felt like, I remember everything about it. The first time I started thinking about death and the eternity of that, I freaked out. I've always been terrified of death, terrified. And it's always been in my head and it's something I've carried. And so the thing about working with Annette, and it's happened so many different times, is it brings validity to me at least that there's something else going on. There's something bigger than us. And to be able to connect and and I'm sure I'll end up telling you the famous story about my life and Annette's and how it intertwined. But it gave me a sense of peace that I had never had before. That's the best way to describe it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So nice.
That's very special.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually had her talk through me, what do you think happens when you die? Like, what does this go through? The whole 9 yards. And yes, people have come and connected with me, but it's more about this. I don't know. I'm in a very different place in my life, and Annette knows this than I was when I met her. I was talking to my wife the other day, and I said, for the first time in my life, no matter what's going on, I'm content. And that's the best word I can say. Doesn't mean I'm always happy, doesn't mean I'm always sad. I am content with whatever is going on in my life right now. And Annette can probably share with you how freaking different that is than when I met her 15 years ago.
So happy for you, Hamilton. There's no
Oh,
better feeling than feeling contentment, I think, in life.
yeah. So do you want my famous validation story?
Yes, please.
Annette, I don't even
I
think
don't know if I remember, honestly.
I don't, I bet you, it was probably so inconsequential to you. All right. So here's the story. If Angela, you're just now meeting me, but I'm sure Annette has told you I'm one of the vainest human beings in the world.
I have not, but okay. Your secret's out.
Well, I am, and I have no issue with saying that. So this was about this had to be when Annette and I first started talking. So I was in Las Vegas for a meeting, and I was at the Wynn Hotel, and I was actually in my buddy's suite. We were just talking, and I went to the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I just got really pissed off. I'm like, listen, I'm starting to get old. I don't like it. And I just went on and on. My phone rings and it's my wife. And of course, I just jump in and she goes, what the hell is wrong with you? And I just kept going on about how I'm starting to feel old and I don't look as good and this and that. And she's like, Hamilton, you're acting like an idiot. I got to go. Goodbye. So we hung up the phone. It was over and done with. I walked downstairs. I know exactly what I was walking into this restaurant downstairs at the Wynn. We had a very important business dinner, and I get a text message. And Annette, this may refresh your memory. It was from Lori Breutman, who worked for me and was the lady that introduced me to Annette out of the blue. And she goes, Hamilton, hey, I've been emailing back and forth with Annette today about something having to do with me. And she just sent me an email. And at the end of the email, she said, please reach out to Hamilton and tell him he's not old.
I remember now.
And I don't think you know how, like, and so all of you out there that thinks this is fake and this is BS and all this other stuff, let me just tell you, you could say Annette could go on my Facebook and she could do this and she could do that. There is no person on the face of the earth other than my wife heard that conversation, and my wife didn't have Annette's number. So I don't know what to tell you.
So you remember that?
I do now, Hamilton. Yes. That's a good, yes. Oh, I just got chills.
And so that tripped a wire for you, Hamilton. That really stayed with you.
Oh, I mean, I probably have 10 more stories of, I've probably referred 10, 15, 20
Oh,
people.
so many people you've referred to me. I think,
And
yeah,
they
more
come
than
back
that.
to me with, I remember one buddy, his name is Brian, who lives out here in Arizona. I introduced him to Annette. And do you know why he started talking to Annette? Because he had just split up with his wife. And it was almost like talking to a therapist. And that's what I tell people, like, therapy is phenomenal, coaching is phenomenal, talking to Annette is phenomenal. So
Thank
you
you.
always feel better after you walk away, is the best way I can describe it. So anyway, Brian, Annette kept talking to Brian, and she kept mentioning this guy who had passed, and she kept saying he was in Brian's garage. And Brian's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And this went on and on and on. And Annette kept saying, I'm telling you, he keeps telling me the garage. About a week later, Brian's in his garage and he's doing some work. And the only picture he has of him in his entire house was on his workbench in his garage. So there's stuff like that.
Wow. Powerful.
Yes. Wow. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Yeah. Those are good.
What else do you want to know, Angela?
Well,
I can talk for hours.
well, I love your energy. You have the most incredible energy. I love that you are curious. I love that you are really open to different ideas. And of course, what Annette does is a very particular gift. And it's not, yes, it's connecting with the other side, but it's also, there's another layer to it.
I feel like you bring peace. I remember our last reading that your parents had come through and you got some really good, you know what I find when I do readings is they love to prove they're there. So they'll talk about obviously the goings on, but also sometimes they talk about the things that are near you that obviously I can't see you. I'm just on the phone. And your parents had done that. And I remember somebody came through and they were talking about somebody getting a new car. And you were like, no, Annette, no, Annette, no, Annette. And then was it your daughter's friend?
Yeah.
That had been listening in from the next room. She was the one that was getting
Oh.
new car.
Well, and you bring up a really good point, and this is something that all the viewers, if you ever talk to Annette or someone like Annette, be authentic. Well, I think you should be authentic in every avenue of your life, but be authentic, because I'm going to be very vulnerable and tell you this story. I was a mama's boy, 1,000%. My dad was my dad. My dad was a 2-star general. He passed away 8 months after my mom. And my dad and I never had a friendship relationship. If my dad walked into the room right now, I would be scared to death. I would immediately turn into a 4-year-old kid. And so I was honest with Annette. I go, my mom and dad are passed. I don't really, like, I would love to talk to them, but I don't even know what I would want to say. And my dad came out and started through Annette basically saying that he loved me and he wished he could have been different and this and that. And it was, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like that repaired everything in my relationship with my dad. And he's been gone for 3 years, if that makes any sense.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's really
nice.
That's so moving. That's so moving, Hamilton.
Yeah.
That was unexpected for you.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting because, I mean, again, when with your parents, and you guys obviously talk a lot about your parents. And by the way, I didn't know you were Irish. I went to Ireland once.
Oh, cool.
For 10 days.
Nice. Isn't it cool?
Yeah. Well, I played golf and got drunk the whole time. Yeah. That was before but it was a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a hell of a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't remember what I was saying, but about your relationship with your parents. At a certain point with your parents, it goes from this parent-child relationship to a more of a friendship and a respect level. And maybe this was my fault, not my dad's. That never happened with us. I think he thought we were friends, but I was still this terrified kid of my two-star general dad, and that was sad for me. I mean, I don't really know my dad as a peer or as a colleague, and so that validation and that conversation through Annette was it was pretty meaningful to me, and it changed everything in my head about how I viewed him after that.
Oh, that's so nice, and he's so grateful that it did.
Yeah, I mean, that was literally the last time we talked, and I've been talking to her or texting her or Instagramming her for 15 years, and this is
Yeah.
the first time we ever talked about it. But the reason is because I was vulnerable and authentic,
Yes.
and I didn't worry about if I hurt my dad's feelings when I told Annette what I told her, and
Mhm.
that's where the beauty of this happens.
Wow,
Be
that
authentic, yeah.
authenticity
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
everything.
and then I also think it allows all more valid messages, like, to come through from your loved ones, because I feel like they always wanna help you in this life. We have to let them.
And I feel like you were open to it, Hamilton, though, like, from the beginning, it sounds like you were open and curious about that particular
Oh, I
aspect.
remember first speaking to him, and he was like, I don't know, tell me what you got," like, something like that. He was just like, "I don't know what to ask, I don't know what to do, just, go for it," and we did. It was good.
Well, and I would say, Angela, I wasn't only open to it, I wanted it. And I still to this day. I've tried to get Annette to teach me how to do
Yeah.
this myself. I have my daughter, I think,
Yes.
and Annette knows this. She's got this crazy gift that Annette has. And it's just to me, I love it. I love every aspect of it. I think it's the unknown and wanting to know more and yeah, open is the right word.
It's a feel good, I think. Feels good. I love
Yeah,
those
Annette,
stories.
can we turn around? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Were you this is gonna come out of left field, but as I was talking about my authenticity and my struggle and how I got through it, did you ever get nervous talking about the fact? Did you ever have this stigma about you had this thing that you had and you didn't want to tell anybody because you were scared they would think you were nuts?
100%.
I figured that was the case. I would love to hear about that.
We talked a little bit about it, I think, in the first episode, we only touched on it. But yeah, I especially in high school, like, I hid it and then became extremely introverted and shy. And then in my late 20s was when you know, it was just time.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, absolutely.
But Hamilton too, if I can add to that point, this podcast is a representation of Annette, really not that she didn't embrace this gift before, she did, but now she wants to share it on sort of the world stage. And correct me if I'm wrong, Annette, but you felt it was time. And I do think, like you said, there's this sort of there's these chapters of our lives, and there's a time and a season
And
for
yeah.
your next level of
Oh,
authenticity.
yeah, and a lot of people, including Hamilton, I think, wanted me to do more with it because they understood, because they understood it, and it is pretty cool, but it took me a long time. I think I had a lot of anxiety around it for whatever reason, I have no idea, but one day I just woke up and I was like, "It's time to be me and share it with
Well,
everybody."
that's funny that you say that because as you guys were talking, I've seen that same transformation in me. I've seen that transformation in Annette. And Annette, I've never talked to you about this, but you've obviously been through your own journey over the last 15 years. But I remember you telling me once, because Angela's right, and I saw the same thing. I didn't see embracing's not the right word, Angela. You're right. And so I can't think of another word. But I saw it start to grow. And I remember you telling me once, Hamilton, I was at a soccer game one day, and it's so hard because all these people were saying, go over and talk to that girl. I need to share something with you. And you were finally like, I got to do something about this.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And now I feel amazing doing it. Not that I
That's all.
didn't then, because I always loved, reading for people and doing it, but now that I'm sharing it to this level, it's what I'm supposed to be doing in life.
Well, there's a freedom to it.
Yeah, It's like giving
When
your
you
soul.
yeah, it's when you're completely aligned in alignment.
And
I love that term.
yeah, and
When
authentic, right? Like he was saying.
Yes, when you're
Yeah.
in alignment, when you're authentic, when you're sharing too also this great gift with others, it's just very powerful.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're doing it,
Thank
and
you for sharing those stories.
of course, and I'm glad you have Angela by your side. That's awesome. And anything I can do to help spread the message, you know me. I got a big mouth,
Thanks, Hamilton.
and it's a little loud, so I'll help you guys any way I can.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Hamilton. It was so wonderful to meet you.
Well, it's nice to meet you as well. I've heard a lot about you, and if you ever need me to share more stories, I have tons of them.
Oh, I love it. You want us to do one more?
Yeah, what do you
Yeah,
want? I mean,
give us another story. I want another one.
well, one of the first times that I met Annette, this was in our old house. Remember where I was sitting, and I had at that point I didn't listen to Annette, and I said, I don't care. I'm shutting myself in my office, so no one's allowed in here. So I'm sitting in my office, and she starts talking again about Dawn's uncle who had passed away, and that he used to ride in the front seat of the car with me, and he thought I was hilarious, and he loved me, and blah 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 blah. We're talking about all this stuff. Then she asked me about a dog named Chow Chow, which was Dawn's dog. So, in other words, I was pissed off again. And so then we started talking about Dawn is my wife, by the way. So then we started talking about my grandmother. And she says, Hamilton, has your grandmother ever like worn braids or pigtails? Because I'm seeing like pigtails and a braid. And as soon as that came out of her mouth, my door swings open, and my daughter, Lily, who at the time was like 6, is standing there. And here's the crazy part of the story: my daughter has never had pigtails in her hair ever, except that one time when she opened the door. And it
That's
was
a
just
good
like,
story.
yeah, I was just like, you've got, so there's about 3 different validations in that story: Uncle Bobby and the dog, and then Lily walking in with ponytails and braids, exactly the way Annette described it. The other crazy story, and this is to help people understand, and Annette, I don't know if you've talked about this yet or not, about you believe that everyone has this in them, that there's a
Yes.
way to pull it out if you're open to it.
Mm.
So my daughter got on the phone, Lily, the same Lily who's now 21, got on the phone with Annette and said, hey, I really feel like this and that. And Annette said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get off this call, and I want you to go and sit down and draw something. So Lily did. She drew a really beautiful flower. She's a great artist. And she said, just watch what happens. And this is no BS. Lily did that. We forgot about it. The next day, my wife walks in from the store with groceries, and she had this bunch of flowers, and it was the exact flowers that Lily drew.
The other side did that.
Wow.
Told me
And
that.
I got tons more. So invite me back when you want.
Okay, you got
I
it.
mean, literally, I have tons.
Thanks, Hamilton. I appreciate it. Those are good stories.
Yeah.
Anybody out there, she's a good lady, and it's a very special thing that she does. And being with Angela on this is just phenomenal. So you guys knock it out of the park.
Thank you so much, Hamilton.
Thank you, Hamilton. We so appreciate you.
Awesome.
Talk
Good to
soon.
see you both. Annette, good to see you in person, and I'm sure we'll talk more.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right.
Take
See you
care.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Those were
Ah.
it's funny, Angela, because I forget them. And then when he spoke about them, I remember the flower story. And then of course the old story.
Well, because it comes through someone else, and so you're bringing that forth.
Yes.
And so, of course, you're giving out all this information over
Yes.
time. And wow,
Yeah,
that was
those were good.
amazing.
Those were good.
So that's the first time you saw
Yeah, in
Hamilton.
15 years. Yeah, it's such a great family, right? Yeah, I feel like they are family, like him and his wife and his children. And I knew those children when they were little, and now they're grown. And I talk to his daughter sometimes too. And I love the Ireland connection because we
Oh,
used
yes.
to go there. Remember when we used to go to Ireland and Mom used to be so glamorous? Like when we would go to the airport,
Yes.
we'd fly out of JFK and we'd always be glamorous.
Yes.
And
We
you,
got that too.
yeah, we'd always be dressed nice. And you had these pretty, you used to love those blouses with the puffy sleeves. You loved your puffy sleeve
To
blouses.
this day,
Love it.
I love my puffy sleeve clothes. And that stayed with you too.
Oh yeah, always. I have a great story about it. So I did a reading. I did a reading recently for someone, and her father came through and he was very strong and he had a lot of messages, a lot of validations, a lot of great things. And towards the end of the readings, I always like to give them like one more, like one more, just one more thought, one more validation. And so I said, okay, just one more. Your father is laughing about the shaved cat. So she starts hysterically laughing and she goes, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I was just telling my daughter the other day that she should wear this beautiful, what I thought was beautiful velvet blouse that she received as a gift or sweater. I don't remember, but it was velvet. And she kept saying, Mom, I'm not wearing it. I don't like it. She was like, I don't understand why you just won't wear it. It's very pretty. You should wear it. And she goes, Mom, it feels like a shaved cat.
The shaved cat in the
See?
conversation.
And the father came in for one more thing to say, and she was laughing about the shaved cat. And of course, in my head, I thought a shaved cat.
Yes, you think of the cat.
But he was referencing, he heard the conversation that she had with her daughter, that obviously I would never hear, that the daughter didn't want to wear this velvet sweater because it was like a shaved cat.
Of course, who would connect it back to a sweater? That's like the story you told about grateful.
Yes.
And it wasn't referring to thankfulness. It was referring
Yes.
to a Grateful Dead t-shirt.
That was
Was it?
that he always wore. Yeah.
So when you get these messages, sometimes you're just getting like keywords.
Yeah, I tell them it's like a puzzle I have to put together, which I try and put together before I even say it, in my head. Because if they could just talk in full sentences, that would be amazing, But the more you do it, the better you become at it. So that's that. But
Wow.
yeah.
That's Annette. So amazing.
Yeah, those were some good stories. I have fun stories. And I got to be honest with you, I am so excited about these chocolates.
We are so excited. Are you going to have a flake or a crunchy?
I want both. Which one
All
do
right,
you
I'll
want?
have one of each too.
Oh my God, the best ever.
All right. Whatever snack you enjoy, we invite you to enjoy your snack, enjoy your.
It's a lot easier to get them now.
A tea. Yeah, by the way, you can order any of this candy online. Have a tea, have a grown-up beverage, have your whatever you enjoy. We love when you join us for our podcast. You are the most important part of the Medium at Heart community, and we would love you to continue to be a part of it. And if you follow us on Spotify and you subscribe on YouTube, you'll know when our new episodes are out, so you can gather whatever's most meaningful to you. There's a color, there's a flower that reminds you of your loved one. We invite you to watch the podcast, hear the stories like Hamilton's and other guests that we're going to have on throughout our episodes, and celebrate your loved one. And please do drop us an email. We are at mediumatheart@gmail.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on TikTok, Spotify, and YouTube. And time for a snack. So we'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.